the streets in the town of Port-au-Prince of Haiti, we saw that there's a spirit of courage, a spirit of faith, a spirit of hope. We saw children that would play games and laughter and joy and singing amongst themselves. But why was there such a contrast of spirit? It seemed as if within their own suffering, they were able to find their treasures, the treasure of God's presence in their. To recognize the spirit that dwells in Haiti, let us respond. Merci, c'est pour, bon dia. Thanks be to God.
We noticed during our trip to Haiti and to St. Anne's, there was reasons, constant reasons for despair. Started when we noticed the chaos at the airport. On the roads to the mission house, we saw rubble on the streets, canals with garbage and sewage. We also experienced children that were 2.5 years old and weighed 12 pounds, severely malnourished. The children at St. Anne had shoes with holes in them, socks that were wet. They didn't have electricity or running water. Yet, despite all these things that would make us despair, there was joy and hope in their eyes, in their actions, especially in how they were at Mass. They were also building a school to show hope for the future of their children. It was incredibly touching. For hope in the midst of despair, let us respond. Merci, c'est pour, bon Dieu. Thanks be to God.
What is hospitality to me here in the U.S.? It's making sure that my guests feel welcome, that they feel comfortable in my home, that I provide them food and drink, that I'm keeping them happy, and that there's good company. And that's what we received at St. Anne's when we visited. They went out of their way to make sure that we were comfortable, whether that was moving beds up so that we had a place to sleep. They cooked for an additional 8-9 people, probably food they weren't used to making in such quantity because we were coming to visit. They sent their children to greet us and to keep us company. When we went on walks, we received fresh coconut, so fresh that one of the guys climbed the tree and chopped it down and then took his machete and chopped it apart for us to have really fresh coconut. For the hospitality of our Haitian host, let us respond. Merci, c'est pour, bon Dieu. Thanks be to God.
Let's go!
It struck me as so interesting the way that we couldn't communicate, but then people started laughing and talking, and somebody had a boombox of some sort, not much music on it, but he was making it sound like a boombox, and before you know it, we were all dancing, making funny gestures just from, out of pure joy. And it was like a celebration, just a way of communicating. Mass was such a wonderful celebration in and of itself, but afterwards, just spontaneously, we all started dancing, and it didn't stop. And the more we danced, the more the parishioners joined in. I think it started just with 2 people. Before we knew it, the entire church was dancing and celebrating. That was the highlight for me of celebrations that bring hope.
For celebrations that give hope, let us respond. Merci beaucoup, bon Dieu. Thanks be to God.
4 years ago, when St. Anthony's decided to explore partnering with a parish in Haiti, I was asked to go to a conference in Washington, D.C., presented by Catholic Relief Services. At that conference, we met all the bishops of Haiti and discussed the challenges of working in that country. One of the striking things that they told us was, if you think you are going to come down to our country, spend 7 days, and tell us what to do, stay home. We do not need supervisors. We need partners. The work that we've done down there has been done in partnership with our sisters and brothers in Haiti, and it has accomplished wonderful things. There you go. For the help and concern of its northern neighbor, let us respond, Merci, c'est pour bon Dieu. Thanks be to God.
I think it's pretty easy for us to understand why Haiti needs us. Especially in light of the earthquake of 2010 that most of us remember, we know we can help them materially and we help them with a prayer, but it's more challenging for us to think about and understand how Haiti helps us. Haitians have a strong and a certain faith and a very Catholic sense of community. In their poverty, really all they have is God, and they have each other. So it's pretty simple. For us in the United States, we generally have a good idea of what we need to live comfortably. We have what we need. We don't often think of our mortality. And so we see in our culture this thinking that we don't really need God and we don't want a church. But that's a very false sense of self-sufficiency. This cultural thinking affects all of us, though, even people of faith. So from our Haitian friends, we see the truth that we need God all the time, and we need each other. So for the realization that we need Haiti, let us respond, Merci, c'est pour bon Dieu. Thanks be to God.
When I thought about why do we send delegations to St. Anne's, and can't we just pray for them? And it isn't until you actually land there, experience the people, look into their eyes, and see what it's all about. And it's really about just the experience of understanding what they give to you, that spirit that comes from them. You can't get that over the phone. It's really about being there and sharing that experience with them and giving them hope, and then them in turn giving us hope, and that mutual bond that we develop. And it's all throughout our faith. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, it's that giving. I mean, Christ giving on the cross, giving life to us, enabling us to have salvation. It's the priest giving the Eucharist so we can receive grace. There's so many aspects of this same relationship that permeates throughout our faith. For our eyes to be open to a mutual relationship, let us respond. Merci, c'est pour bon Dieu. Thanks be to God.
One day we were given the opportunity to visit the facility run by the Sisters of Charity, the organization that Mother Teresa had founded. And we weren't given very many instructions, just led to a room just filled with cribs of children. And essentially we picked up one or two children and just held them for hours. And it was incredibly heartbreaking to know that whenever we put them down, they would just start crying again, and to see that, or to know that, that was one child out of how many countless others out there that are so not only starved for nutrition, but starved for affection as well. And I can still, when I close my eyes, see that little boy's face and hear his cry for justice. So, for our ears to be open to the cry of justice, let us respond. Merci, c'est pour bon Dieu. Thanks be to God.